Joining me now is Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, a member of the Financial Services and Judiciary Committees. Congressman, great to see you. Thanks very much for being here. What is your reaction to what you just heard from President Trump, as well as the Fed doing exactly what Trump expected, cutting rates right before the election?
Yeah, I think most of the members of the Financial Services Committee, of which I'm a member, were surprised. We were anticipating the 25 basis points, and history shows the last time the Fed did this, last two times, we ended up in a recession. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. It makes you think back to the last summer, when they took a pass on any type of cut and then came back with the 25. So, it really seems arbitrary, and it's very difficult for, I think, many of us to kind of figure out what they're up to.
Well, we're trying to figure out what Kamala Harris's plans are for the economy. She has been, coming up with a few things on the edge, like she'll raise the corporate tax rate. She wants to put unrealized gain. She wants to tax unrealized gains. She wants to take the tax on capital gains higher. And she's trying to do some incentives to buy a home, but nothing overall to rein in inflation. And the vice president held a rally in your home state of Wisconsin. The latest AARP poll shows that Harris and former President Trump are virtually tied in your state. Voters' top issue still the economy, according to these new Fox polls. They trust Trump more, according to the polling, 51% to Harris's 46%. But the same poll shows voters trust Harris more on helping the middle class specifically. So, Congressman, what do you make of these polls? Can you compare the economic plans of these two candidates? And are you surprised that she's so high up and tight in these polls, despite the fact that she has not articulated any plans in terms of reining in inflation?
Yeah, I think if you look at kind of some of the tax credit stuff she's talking about, it's very small, kind of focused stuff on niche groups, which may sell in certain parts of the state. But Maria, she's in Dane County. She's in Madison today, I believe, which is odd, 45 days out from the election, that she's in basically a Democrat stronghold, either trying to prop something up or trying to send a message to a certain group. We all know in Wisconsin that have represented districts there for many years. I mean, this battle is going to come down to the Fox Valley. It's going to be Green Bay. It's going to be cities like Appleton and Neenah Menasha. So for them to be in Dane County and Madison, it's kind of odd for most of us to kind of look at and say, what's going on here?
How are you expecting Wisconsin to vote?
I really think that Donald Trump can put together kind of the same coalitions that supported him in 2016, and that includes a lot of the Milwaukee suburban area, of which I represent. And like I said, you've got some areas in central Wisconsin where President Trump did very well in 2016. There seems to be, I think, a lot of focus on the economy right now. And, so when I'm out in the district, whether I'm doing a parade or a fair or a festival, doesn't mean that's what people approach me on. They talk to me about their economic situation and the concerns they have about themselves, or maybe their son or daughter who are unable to break into the home market. That's what they talk about.
So let me ask you about the state of the economy on a national basis here and our country. House Speaker Mike Johnson's stopgap funding bill linked to the SAVE Act failed in the House. The measure would have averted an October 1st shutdown and also required proof of citizenship to vote. But I know your colleagues on the Democrat side will not have it. The House is now looking at a straightforward interim spending bill that would run through mid-December, Congressman. How will you vote on that?
Well, as we stand here today, I still think there's not a final decision made on kind of where we're going. Leadership yesterday was talking to a number of members who, are not going to support just a straight, clean CR. Some of them are based on what it does to defense. Others just think there's too much spending. And then there's been some discussion on, whether or not you bring another CR back that includes a SAVE Act with a shorter deadline. So I think, leadership's trying to work through that with members right now. So as we stand here this morning, though, I don't think there's been a final decision made on what we're probably going to take up next week.
Well, what would you like to see?
I'd like to see a CR that actually includes the SAFE Act. I think if you do a shorter deadline, something like December, that it may put even more pressure on the Democrats to acknowledge that it's just ridiculous that they're voting en masse against this, what's a very common sense, very simple bill that makes sense for everyone. So
and why do you think that is?
I'd like to see that happen again.
Congressman, why do you think that is? Why are they so against ensuring that only citizens get to vote?
I think it's more about the play on the CR. You know, they're kind of in a position with, if we're going to have to deliver the votes on the CR at the end, you know, why would we go along with something other than that? And then the interplay with the Senate as well. We're not sure what Schumer's up to right now, but we'll probably know more by the end of the day.
All right, Congressman, good to talk with you. Thanks very much, sir. Scott
Thanks,
Fitzgerald.
Maria. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon, sir.